What functional fixedness looks like in real life. Most people think creativity is about having more ideas. But sometimes creativity has less to do with finding new ideas and more to do with seeing familiar things differently. Psychologists call this functional fixedness. Functional fixedness is our tendency to see an object, situation, or even a person only in the way we've become accustomed to seeing it. Once we assign something a particular function, it can become surprisingly difficult to imagine alternatives. A classic psychology experiment demonstrated this. Participants were given a candle, some drawing pins, and a small box. Their task was to attach the candle to a wall so that it could burn without dripping wax onto the table below. Many people struggled. They tried pinning the candle directly to the wall. They tried melting wax to make it stick. But they often overlooked a simple solution. The box holding the pins could be emptied, attached to the wall, and used as a small shelf for the candle. The challenge wasn't intelligence. It was perception. People had become fixed on seeing the box as a container for pins rather than as an object that could serve a completely different purpose. And once you know about functional fixedness, you start noticing it everywhere. Imagine someone searching for their phone charger. They become increasingly frustrated because they can only think of one place it should be: the bedside table, the desk, the kitchen bench. As they search, they become more convinced that it must be there somewhere. Meanwhile, the charger is sitting in a completely different location because it was being used for a different purpose. Their assumption about where chargers belong limits where they're willing to look. Or consider a workplace problem. A team faces declining sales. The discussion immediately focuses on advertising because advertising is what they usually do when sales decline. More ads, a bigger budget, a new campaign. Yet the real issue might be customer service, unclear communication, or a product that no longer meets people's needs. The familiar solution becomes the only visible solution. Functional fixedness can also appear in relationships. Someone may view a family member as the irresponsible one. Over time, every action is filtered through that lens. Evidence that supports the label stands out. Evidence that challenges it can be missed. The person is no longer seen as a complex individual. They're seen through a fixed function within the family system. Even therapists can encounter functional fixedness. A therapist may become strongly attached to a particular theory or explanation. Perhaps they see anxiety. Perhaps they see attachment patterns. Perhaps they see unresolved grief. And while those ideas may contain truth, becoming too attached to one explanation can make it harder to notice what else might be happening. Sometimes the challenge is not finding the right answer. It's becoming willing to let go of the first answer. Functional fixedness reminds us that human beings don't simply respond to reality. We respond to how we've learned to organize reality. The box becomes a container. The colleague becomes difficult. The problem requires the usual solution. The client fits a familiar pattern until something helps us look again. And often, that fresh perspective reveals possibilities that were there all along. Because sometimes the obstacle isn't a lack of options. It's the way we're seeing them.
Interested in learning more? Explore more videos here on Therapy Illustrated, where we make counseling, psychotherapy, and human behavior easier to understand through practical examples and visual explanations. I'll see you in the next video.